Good morning, everybody. Chris Putnam here, CEO of Dallas Express News. We are continuing our series with a number of candidates. Today we have a statewide candidate, Aaron Reitz, who is running for Attorney General of the state of Texas to replace Ken Paxton, who, of course, is running for U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here, Aaron.
Happy
we
to
really
be here.
appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's start here. We always ask folks, first of all, just like a little bit of background on you, of course, and why you're running. What's your motivation,
Yeah.
for running for Attorney General?
Look, I think that we're in a battle for the soul of our state and our nation. And I know from long personal experience that the primary arena in which we are fighting the left is the justice system. President Trump understood this. He ran on it. He won on it. And as one of his very first orders of business was his nominating me to the senior executive ranks of the Justice Department. When he nominated me, he put out a statement and he said, Aaron Reitz is a true MAGA attorney and a warrior for the Constitution. Now, look, I think that that's the description of what our next attorney general ought to be. But there's also a reason why he said that about me, and it's because of my background. It's because of my record leading legal troops into legal combat to deliver legal victories for our Constitution, for our state, and for our nation. And so what is that background, right? I started my career after college, went to Texas A&M, spent 5 years on active duty in the Marines, went to Afghanistan, got out on active duty. I'm still in the reserve as a major, but I only train quarterly, so I can keep. I don't have to shave too much. The haircut takes care of itself. I don't have to worry about.
I have the same issue.
Yeah, so went to law school at UT, led nationally recognized conservative legal student organizations there, clerked on the Texas Supreme Court, several years private practice, then joined as Ken Paxton's deputy. I led all of our Texas v. Biden litigation.
Well, let's back up a minute.
Yeah.
You got your law degree from
UT.
So here we go. So you're both an Aggie and a Longhorn. How does that work?
Well, yeah. Look, I know it's tough, and actually, believe it or not,
it's got to be hard just being in one cult. What's it like being in two?
Look, I love the Longhorns from time to time. It's just a graduate program, so I don't bleed burnt orange, right? I mean, I bleed maroon. But to make matters worse, actually, I will tell you, I married a Longhorn as well.
Oh my gosh!
Can you believe that?
What's that like?
So right now,
I mean, you're already wrestling with yourself.
Yeah. Look, we have a very happy marriage. We've been married for 16 years. We've got 4 kids. For the time being, we have more UT degrees in the Reitz household than we do A&M. But when all 4 of my kids go to A&M, the A&M degrees will outnumber.
Well, yeah. I mean, they go to fish camp and get brainwashed straight out of the gate.
I got brainwashed through the Corps Cadets. I didn't even do fish camp, believe it or not. I didn't even do it.
I'm kidding, Aggies. We love you.
Oh, we love our Aggies. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that.
I'm sorry. So I interrupted the rest of your bio.
No.
And another thing that I think is important about your background, you worked for Ted Cruz for a while, right?
Yeah, so after I was Paxton's deputy for 3 years, we went to war against the Biden administration, big tech, big pharma, big banks, big blue cities and counties. Especially here in Dallas County where we're talking, I mean, Clay Jenkins, the lockdown king. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I sued that guy.
You see, he left town this weekend during the storm.
Of course he did.
I mean, how ironic is that?
Yeah, totally.
Of course, the media didn't care.
Yeah, Dallas Express cared. Y'all covered it, right? Because that's newsworthy. That's newsworthy.
Well, no, it's the hypocrisy of this outrage that was expressed when, Ted had planned vacation or whatever, did the same thing. They excuse it.
Yeah.
For Clay Jenkins, but it's all anybody talks about when Ted does it.
It's all a fake show, man. I mean, it's just like that's what the media is going to do. Went on to serve after that. Went on to serve as Ted Cruz's chief of staff, and then after President Trump won in November of 2024, I got the call from his team to start coming on down to West Palm Beach and interview for what a position might look like at the Justice Department or DHS, and so went back and forth a few times. Ended up meeting with the boss. At Mar-a-Lago, we kind of just shot the breeze for 45 minutes. It was a surreal experience with the president, and left. Next day, Truth Social Post comes out, nominated me. Had to go through Senate confirmation to get my job. I'm proud to say that I got exactly 0 Democrat votes out of the United States Senate. Look, I'd be too embarrassed. I certainly wouldn't be running for Attorney General. I don't know that I'd be on an outlet like yours. I'd be too embarrassed if I gotten any Democrat votes because I would have thought to myself, what did I do in my past to make a Democrat vote yes on me? That's embarrassing. In fact,
I do have to ask you this question. So, I mean, one of the criticisms that your opponents have expressed is that you didn't stay long.
Yeah. Well, look, after Senate confirmation, I moved into my office at Main Justice in Washington, And we kept our family in Austin, as I had always done, commuting back and forth, kind of on like a congressional schedule. And shortly into my tenure as the head of the Office of Legal Policy at DOJ, Paxton announced, and look, in conference and in prayerful due diligence with a lot of my mentors, both the president, several members of the White House, the Attorney General of the United States, Deputy Attorney General, a lot of my mentors and friends back in Texas, right, talking with Senator Cruz, Attorney General Paxton, grassroots leaders, the whole 9 yards, right? Remember, Paxton announced in early April. I didn't announce until mid-June. That's because during that nearly 3-month period, I was really thinking, okay, what's best for our country? What's best for Texas? What's best for the Constitution? What's best for my kids, for my family?
That's not D.C.
Yeah, it may not be, but look,
a few months in D.C. would have done it for me too.
I know. Look, I loved the job, but it became very clear. It became very clear, not just to me, but to the president, to the attorney general, to everybody involved in that sort of justice-related mission in the administration, to many, many leaders, both grassroots and sort of more, insider influencers, et cetera, here in Texas, that as we transition away from Attorney General Paxton, that we have got to have serious continuity from the work that Paxton has done for over a decade to whoever's next. And we evaluated, we looked at what the field was. There were a couple candidates that had popped up. We looked at who else was kind of flirting with potentially a run. And it became obvious. This administration needs to have somebody who has been trusted, vetted, proven, has an actual record, as I said earlier, leading legal troops into legal combat to deliver legal victories, to become the managing partner of the largest red state law firm in the country that literally has so much influence that it shapes American jurisprudence. This isn't just some B team, second tier state office that people kind of go and hang out in until they can run for the next thing.
I used to tell Ken when Biden was in office that I liked him a lot better as Attorney General when there was a Democrat in office.
Totally. Look,
or at least I appreciated him more. Let's put it that way.
Were it not for the work that we did to stop the worst excesses of the Biden administration, things would be a lot worse for Texas. I'm proud to say that as Paxton's offensive coordinator, I led 46 lawsuits. That's AutoPen Joe Biden. I led 46 lawsuits against the 46th president, and I won 85% of those cases, okay? So I understood infinitely more than my opponents in this race the stakes at issue. And after getting the blessing of the president, the blessing of the attorney general, the blessing of Attorney General Paxton, etc., it became clear. I serve at the pleasure of the president. I didn't sign up for a term. I served to serve at the pleasure of the president. And it made infinite sense for me to humbly resign from that post. My resignation was accepted by the Attorney General and the President, and launch. And so here's the deal. Anybody criticizing me for being at the Justice Department for a short amount of time, the irony of that accusation is, number one, it doesn't stick. Number two, you can look at the 20 different statements of encouragement and support from senior members of the administration when I left to launch my bid for Attorney General. Number three, my opponents wouldn't have even been considered for an entry-level legal position in the administration in any capacity, let alone an entry-level legal position at the Attorney General's office. And yet now they want to say, oh, he was there for too soon? Look, I practiced more law in my spring season at the in the Justice Department than all three of my opponents combined over the past 20 years. And so, look, people are going to spin things during a campaign. It's fine. It is what it is.
Do you anticipate that Trump will endorse in this particular election? Or is that too politically complicated for him?
No, I think that if President Trump does get involved in this race, it would likely be in a runoff. There's no promises.
I think that's true for several in Texas right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
And I think especially where this race is headed, right, I anticipate that this is going to be a Reitz-Roy runoff, right? Roy, of course, has name ID, but I love this contrast because you have Chip Soy, people call him, Flip Roy, whatever you want to call him, right? I don't like names, but this is just this is what many people are saying these things. And but remember, Chip was a guy who called for Trump's impeachment in January of 2021. He sided with Liz Cheney and Mike Pence to certify the stolen election. He was the first elected official in America to call for Paxton to be removed from office. He was the leading national cheerleader for Paxton's impeachment and conviction in 2023. He then campaigned to oppose President Trump for president in 2024. And as late as December of 2024, Trump was calling for Chip to be removed from office, calling him a rhino, a grandstander, an egomaniac, ineffective, not smart, a do-nothing rhino, et cetera, et cetera. So you have in the person of Chip Soy someone who is deeply, belligerently anti-Trump and anti-Paxton. What do you have with me? You have somebody who has been endorsed by Ken Paxton to succeed him. When Paxton endorsed me to succeed him, he said Aaron Reitz is the only qualified candidate in this race, the only one that I would trust to pass the baton down to. Why? Because of my record, litigating, investigating, suing, defending, and appealing on all these things. Paxton has known all of the people in this race, all four of us, for decades, and yet, in spite of the fact that he has his own race to run, said, no. The stakes are too high. It's got to be Aaron Reitz, right? And on top of that, Trump called me a true MAGA attorney and a warrior for the Constitution. One of my opponents is spending his inherited millions photoshopping his face next to Trump to try to fool people into thinking that they know each other. It's baloney, right? I have been hand-selected and vetted by President Trump because of my legal record. And the legal...
Why do you think that he waits till the runoff to endorse? Is that the political complication of he has to work really closely, obviously, with the next Texas Attorney General, and yeah.
Look, I think that's right. He also is, I think a complication is that there is a sitting United States congressman in this race, and the margins are razor thin in the House. There's a significant legislative agenda that I think we need to see get through.
By the way, I'm not defending anything. I think that's rational. I mean, he's got to your point, like, you got to be careful. Because he has to work with these people at the end of the day. But also says a lot about, not related to your race, why he hasn't openly endorsed John Cornyn yet. And just a note for our viewers, we ask all candidates to do this with us. And Mays, I think, is scheduled to be in here in the next couple of weeks. We'd love for Chip to be. I've personally long admired a lot of the work that Chip has done. He's, obviously busy in Washington, but run a little bit of different kind of campaign. But we do hope that he'll accept so that, he had the opportunity to respond to some of the things you suggested.
Yeah, look, I think that's right. And I'm glad to hear that you're going to have Mays Middleweight on the show because, look, at the end of the day, what Mays is attempting to do is what he's done with every political office he's ever pursued. Buy it with his inherited money. And he's already spent nearly $6 million, and it's not moving the needle. Mays is totally disqualified from this office. He spent nearly $1 million bankrolling Paxton's primary challengers in 2022. He bankrolled the House impeachment managers, as well as the single largest, most common donor to the House Republicans who voted to impeach. Then, on day one of the Senate trial in September of 2023, he broke with conservative Republicans, sided with the Democrats for the sham impeachment trial to continue. A dozen conservative Republicans said, no, on day one, we got to dismiss this trial.
It's not my job to defend these other candidates. We like to create the opportunity for them to do that themselves.
Sure.
But let me ask you this question about Mays. Like, Mays has been very popular as a legislator, interesting with like both the grassroots and the establishment. And how do you explain that popularity? And from a voting point of view, wouldn't you agree that he generally votes conservative?
Look, I think that Jeb Bush was popular when he launched his presidential race back in 2015. And from the moment that Jeb announced his presidential race, he was the heir apparent, right? He's got this name. He was a governor. He has a good record as a governor. He's got all these endorsements. He's got all this money. 9 months later, Jeb Bush was viewed as such a non-credible presidential candidate that it had descended to the now meme-worthy please clap, right? That's what Mays is. On top of all this, Mays has never practiced law a day in his life, and he wants to be the managing partner of the largest red state law firm in the country. It's totally unconscionable. So he went to law school 16 years ago and inherited his dad's oil company. He's never practiced law. Now, what he's going to say when he comes on your show is he'll say, well, I'm just like Ken Paxton. We didn't vote for Ken Paxton in 2014 because of his legal background. We liked him as a legislator. That's an insult to Ken Paxton. Paxton practiced law at the most elite levels in the highest profile law firms for major clients. He was in-house counsel at a Fortune 100 company and then built a multi-million-dollar private practice. He practiced real law for 20 years before even running for office for the first time at the age of 40 or 41 for the state house. Paxton is a lawyer's lawyer. You'd hire him for any business deals or litigation or corporate counsel that you could possibly think of as a DFW area lawyer. Mays went to law school, inherited his daddy's oil company, has represented no clients, has never filed a complaint, a petition, an appeal. He's never been in court. He's never led an investigation. He's never done anything. The only reason why he is running is because he sees this as a stepping stone to run for governor in 2030. And even his supporters that I talk to will tell me that.
Let's go back to race dynamics, because I think you acknowledged there a minute ago that it feels like Chip's going to make this runoff because of his high name ID. So, I mean, the real battle it's for second right now until the runoff. Is that what I hear you saying? And you believe that it's obviously then you and Mays competing for that second spot.
Yeah, I think look, Chip has very high name ID. It's a fact, right? Now, you know who else has high name ID? Satan. Right? I mean, his negatives are catastrophic. Okay, so I relish the opportunity to get into a runoff with.
I may
Chip
regret
Soy.
doing this interview.
Well, look, Chip,
I'm kidding you.
Chip Roy is like what President Trump said. He's an egomaniacal grandstander who's in it for himself and for the limelight.
Let's go to this. What do you think right now, in terms of what the Attorney General's office is currently dealing with, is the most significant issue in Texas that we need to address, that you would obviously, it would be your top priority if you were to win this race?
Yeah, look, so the theme of my campaign and my major overarching priority as the next AG is to partner with the Trump administration to advance the America First law and order agenda. Now, that's critical, and I'll get into specifics in a minute, but it's critical that while we have an ally in the White House, we have to have strategic alignment with his justice agenda, which he has articulated on the campaign trail in multiple executive orders. And look, he's still treating those law and order related issues as his top priority. What the president needs is a managing partner of the largest red state law firm in the nation that literally has the power to shape American jurisprudence, who has already been vetted and trusted by him to ensure that all of our oars are rowing in the right direction. So what does that mean? Go ahead.
Yeah, because I want to get a real specific question about,
Sure.
We're here in Dallas. Dallas is a sanctuary city.
Yep.
They have refused to cooperate with federal immigration authorities. What can the state do? What can the Attorney General's office do to compel them to actually, cooperate, not work against the interests of ICE and the federal government?
Well, as somebody who has personally sued the city of Dallas and Dallas County multiple times in my capacity as Paxton's deputy, there are, Texas has anti-sanctuary city laws, right? And so we can bring a lawsuit against the city of Dallas or the county of Dallas, depending on who we want as sort of the defendant. But that case has got to get built. The evidence has to be mustered. The law is pretty straightforward. You can't be a sanctuary city. Now, they're going to deny that they're a sanctuary city, right? But when you mount the evidence, you say, well, okay, I hear the words you're saying.
The chief of police has been very vocal about the fact they have no intention of cooperating.
Yeah, right. And now it's even worse. And now you've got your district attorney here in Dallas who is adding his name to the list of district attorneys in Texas who are actively going to thwart.
Yeah, he's a
federal law
Soros-backed guy. He's just a little more quiet about it than some of them.
Yeah. Your district attorney is just as bad as in Travis County as in Harris County. He just stays a little bit more.
Right.
He is smarter in that regard, in that he tempers his aggressive Soros.
I get
rhetoric.
this question all the time because I'm from Dallas, originally moved to Fort Worth for a long time. I was in Tarrant County, and the crime statistics between the two cities are palpable. Fort Worth's much, much safer. I mean, I explain to people, it's because they have a culture there, supporting law enforcement and celebrating law enforcement. And Dallas is more than half probably city council, very public defunded policers, and then this issue with the DA. It's interesting. And not that this would ever happen, but if we were to have a Minnesota-like experience here in Dallas, of course, our state leaders aren't going to promote one like in Minnesota, but how would you handle that as Attorney General?
Well, look, at the end of the day, it's important to understand that the Attorney General is a civil law office. So I don't bring, unless the legislature has given very express criminal law jurisdiction over. So, for example, I have certain criminal law jurisdiction under violations of the Texas Election Code, right? But a lot of times people will think, oh, I can prosecute, criminals who are murdering people and stealing, breaking and entering, and all that. And it's a little bit more nuanced than that. So my main focus as Attorney General is going to be cracking down on the Big Blue City and the Big Blue County public officials who have used public dollars or their position of public office to incite insurrectionist type behavior, or have been soft on crime, or are anti-law enforcement. Look, at the end of the day, it's the big blue cities and the big blue counties.
Why do you think that the administration has not pressed that harder in the case of Minnesota, whether it's invoking the Insurrection Act or literally holding folks like the mayor of Minneapolis and the governor there, accountable for this incitement?
Yeah, look, I can't speculate. I'm not privileged to the inside legal conversations on either in the White House or at Main Justice about why they're doing or not doing certain things. I don't have insight, but what I can tell you is that as Texas Attorney General, my record can give your viewers confidence that I'm the only one in this race that can be trusted to actually wield the weapons that come with this office in order to advance law and order, to do justice, and to hold these big blue cities and counties accountable. Now, look, every candidate's going to come up here. If they come on your show, they'll probably say something totally similar. I mean, look, we've done like 20 different forums together over the past 2 months. Everybody sounds the same at this point, right? Everybody has triangulated their talking points.
Sure.
Everybody has their agenda, right? At the end of the day, what I offer is the confidence of an actual legal record, litigating, investigating, suing, defending, and appealing, and winning throughout the justice system and in courts all over the state and the nation. This is why Paxton, when he endorsed me, said I'm the only qualified candidate in the race. It's why he said I'm the only one who's been battle-tested that would serve Texas and Texans well, because everybody's going to come up here and say, oh, yeah, Dallas County, city of Dallas got big problems. Okay, well, who's actually done the legal work before? It's me. It's what qualified me to not only earn Paxton's endorsement, but it qualified me to earn the trust and confidence of the President of the United States to serve in the senior ranks of the Justice Department.
We're getting a little short on time. I got one more for you.
No, let's do it.
Along these lines, the Islam incursion.
Totally.
It's real, but it's complicated constitutionally. What's the solution there?
Yeah, look, let me be clear. I think that Islam is incompatible with Western civilization. I am the very first candidate in this race to speak out against it. You can look at the receipts. I published a viral op-ed back in July of 2025 within a couple weeks of my announcing my campaign. Of course, my opponents are now copying my notes, as they often do. But I've been speaking out against this from the beginning. We have a major problem with the incursion of the Islamists and the Sharia law pushers in the state of Texas. In particular, the hotbed is where we're talking right now in the DFW area. It's crazy. Epic City is right up the road from us.
It's also the hotbed around the H-1B issue, which I had hoped we'd had time to get to. But
no. And look, I'm the only candidate actually that's been speaking out against the H-1B abuse. Ken Paxton is leaning into that issue.
You think that our situation here with some of the abuse by some of these communities that we've obviously seen in Minnesota, that's so big, you think it's potentially that bad here as well?
Oh, I think it's 100 times worse.
I think it might be too.
I think it's 100 times worse. Look, what you have in Minnesota is obviously scandalous fraud, waste, abuse, corruption, all that stuff, immigration problems, the whole 9 yards. The size of Minnesota, both economically and in terms of the population, if it was bad there, and you look at just the size of the Texas economy as well as the first-generation immigrant population, in particular the H-1B population here in Texas, it's mind-boggling. Paxton is just now starting to, I think, begin leaning. He did a piece yesterday. I think he put out a press statement just yesterday that he is going to be partnering, and thanks to Sarah
we reported
Gonzalez.
it.
Yeah, you guys reported on that.
Yeah.
So I think that when I'm Attorney General, the aggressiveness of what we're going to expose is going to blow people's minds. And I'm also very happy to see that President Trump has nominated a new Assistant Attorney General for nationwide fraud. His name's Colin McDonald. He's a good friend of mine. I served with him in the Justice Department. Again, a huge advantage I bring to the table. I'm already known and trusted by the guy who is going to muster federal resources to root out fraud nationwide. No one better than to have an attorney general who's already been in the trenches with that guy to do it from my position as chief legal officer of Texas. Similar approach to the Islamification issue. I've said this, I'll say it again. I'm going to treat the Islamists in Texas like the feds treated the mafia in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. How many mob bosses did we put behind bars for committing murder? Like, not many, right? Because they were highly sophisticated. And
so RICO is the path.
Well, yeah, RICO, money laundering, trafficking in terms of sex, drugs, and humans, tax evasion, financial crimes, all these sorts of what I'll just call generally process or financial crimes, to smoke them out and suffocate them to such an extent that their operations just naturally shut down and they self-deport. I hope that they deport back to their any number of Muslim majority countries where they can go engage in their Stone Age level of culture, or they could just deport up to Ilhan Omar's district. Great, I welcome that as well. I don't care, but we're going to smoke them out. We have to stop it. It's the Islamification, the H-1B visa abuse, and all of the fraud, waste, abuse, and corruption and crime that comes with those things. No one better suited to do those things than the guy who has already done it. And that's me.
Thanks. Yeah, well, we need to wrap up. I wish we could do this all day, actually, because I have a million more.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the last couple minutes we have here, you want to just share with folks how they learn more about your campaign and any notable endorsements, et cetera?
Yeah. Look, let me close with this thought too. You know, the first time I ever swore an oath to the Constitution was as a brand new second lieutenant. I raised my right hand. I was in uniform, and I said, "I, Aaron Reitz, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic." Now, as somebody who back then ultimately deployed to Afghanistan, I'm a child of the war on terror, right? Back then, I thought primarily about those foreign enemies of the Constitution, and there's no question we've got foreign enemies that we need to worry about. The next time that I swore that oath was in the West Wing, and I had my wife and 4 kids on my left. I had Attorney General Bondi on my right. I raised my hand. I said the exact same oath, word for word. And yet in those intervening nearly 20 years, I had come to fully appreciate that the primary threats that we are dealing with right now are the domestic enemies of the Constitution. They are right in our midst. I'm not talking about foreigners that are in our midst. I'm talking about the homegrown American leftist, radical, Democrat, socialists that want to destroy this country. The avenue through which they are fighting harder than ever with unlimited funding, unlimited access, cover from the media, a crooked judicial system is the courts. Yeah. We need an attorney general who's ready to go to war and stop them. That's my record.
I wish it was more obvious to people, because it is absolutely transparent once you understand it.
Oh, it's so obvious, and it cuts to the inadequacies of my opponent's inability to even know where to get started on those issues. Whereas with me, I've been endorsed by Paxton. I've been endorsed by the National Border Patrol Council. I have been endorsed by grassroots leaders and sheriffs all over the state. None of my endorsements are bought and paid for like some of my opponents. They'll do pay for play. And most importantly, I've been trusted by President Trump to lead legal troops into legal combat. He said Aaron Reitz is a true MAGA attorney and a warrior for the Constitution. If that's not a stamp of approval, if that's not an indication of credibility to take the position as the chief legal officer of Texas, I don't know what is. And so I hope that when people look at my record, they look at my background, they look at my position statements, they look that I've always put my money where my mouth is, that I can substantiate not my vision for the future of the Texas AG's office with an actual record, not just empty promises. You don't have to just hope that I'm going to be a good attorney general in the future based upon some irrelevant legislative record or non-legal work that has nothing to do with the office of the attorney general, but actual legal record where Texans can say, all right, Aaron Reitz is my guy, because he's covered in the battle scars of having fought the fights that we need our attorney general to fight. And I think when people look at my background, they're going to see that. To learn more about me, people can go to my website. It's aaronreitz.com, AARONREITZ.com. They can also follow me on all socials. I'm very active on all of them, in particular X. My handle is at Aaron_Reitz, AARON_REITZ. And we'll see people on the campaign trail soon.
Thank you so much for being here, Aaron. I know how busy you guys are right now, all of you. I don't know that people have a full appreciation for what it takes to run a statewide race, but really appreciate it. And for our readers and listeners and watchers, again, we'll update you soon on when Mays Middleton's going to be here, and hopefully we'll see Chip as well. I'd absolutely love to talk to him. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
All right.